I'm gonna keep this alert on and just record the last part of my session. So as you can see, it's been a bit of a busy one. I have to admit, this one was actually stressful. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just keeping an eye on what's happening in price and see if it does come back to this alert. But judging from what you can see, as you can see, it's been pretty scrappy. But at the minute, I've just taken one break even here, a loss, and another break even. And I'm currently still trying to see if there's an entry here. If price does come back here, then it'd be perfect. If it breaks that high again, then I'm just gonna leave it now. If it closes like that. Maybe not. So coming into the session, has it closed above? No. So coming into the session, right? What am I looking at? So what we have is, if I was to get rid of, okay, if I was to let me just get rid of this. Okay, so what we have was, obviously, I noticed that we had a bearish move and then we had a bullish break. Now for this to be obviously a valid disruption, we need to take out this low. This low eventually gets taken out, but this by this POI here, but then we eventually just continue just making new lows. So price doesn't come back to this POI, so this POI gets invalidated completely. Okay, okay, and this is when we just continue. I can zoom in a little bit now. This is when we continue just following structure, and all that was happening was, it was just lows, highs, break of structure, high, low. Oh, sorry, that's the low. Sorry, of the new high that's formed. High, low, high, and then we had this point, but then we didn't have a break of structure. Well, we did here. So we had this break of structure, so it caused a valid disruption. POI, no entry, nothing. But because obviously what we need to understand is, because this closed below, we also have this disruption where we have bearish, we have this bullish intent, then we have another bearish move, which completely, obviously, which broke the structure, and then we have this POI here. This didn't present with an entry. We had 1 second, 2 breaks. We went to the 5 second, and then price had broke back up. And then it was literally, we were just continually just doing this. So then obviously we formed a new range where we had obviously a bullish break from this low, and then we had this break of structure. So this was a successful disruption as well. Then we had this POI here. Now, okay, now that's closed above. I'm not going to bother now. So at this point we had, so now I can just show you now. There's no point. So at this point, we had a high and then the low. We have this break of structure, and then we have a high, low, and then this high gets violated, right? And then as soon as we create this low, we know that we can look for an entry on this candle. However, I didn't enter. As soon as I saw this little one here, I pressed it. I pulled the trigger, and then I did this as a 1 pip stop, purely because the 0.5 was all the way here. From this range, from this point here to here, that's 0.5 pips. So for me, just to be safe, I went with a 1 pip. In this case, what I noticed was, when we created this high, obviously we have this low, so we have the first break, and then we have another break, and that's when I went to break even, and then that's when this one was taken out. So nothing was gained on this move, and then we continued to create new highs. Following on from price, so what we have here is, we have this high being created, and then this low was taken from this high here, but then we had this disruption, so this high was taken, then we created a new low. So this is a valid POI. So going forward, we just need to wait for this to come into the POI, and this is when we started looking for the next entry. Now I'm starting to question whether I should follow these. So this is a high risk entry anyway, purely because price has tapped above, but it didn't close above in the 15 seconds, so I was happy to take the trade anyway. But if we just follow on from price, all we're doing is just literally creating new highs and lows, highs and lows. There's no form of disruption before, so what we have is a break of structure, and we're now going on to create a new low. And then we continued following the low, and then we had this high-low candle, and then it created this range. I could have entered off here, right? Because what we had, sorry, I missed something here, didn't I? I didn't explain the disruption. Where was it? It was somewhere here. Yeah, this one. So we had this high, this low, which created this low here, and then that was violated. That's the disruption. So now we can look for the entry. So we obviously just continued to create new highs, and this is what's happened. Now I saw this candle here, but I didn't enter straight off that, to be honest, and live I didn't really notice that too much, which I should have. I don't know whether I would have taken entry or whether I would have been quick enough, because this was so fast when price actually got here. But I had my entry set here with a 1 pip stop to cover this range from this low to this high, because obviously that's where the buy was before that sell move. Price eventually got triggered, and then I got taken out. This was so quick the way I got taken out on this one. I didn't place a limit, I just executed that one, and I got fortunate with how I put my stop loss in this one. I didn't get slipped. I didn't get slipped, but my trigger was slightly off. It triggered like a pipette higher, so my stop loss was a little bit, pipette lower, sorry. So my stop loss was still 1 pip, but it triggered. It was effectively 1.1 pip, if that makes sense. So it took out more of a loss than it should have. But this is where it becomes interesting, because we created this high. I went to the 15 second and noticed that we obviously broke structure, and what that also means is what we have here. I should probably get rid of all the brushes because I'm not watching live price anymore. Okay, so if I get rid of that now, what we need to remember is that because price closed above now, we have this break of structure, and then we have this move here. If price goes on to break out this high, that's a valid disruption, which is exactly what's happened. So I'm happy to look for another trade within this, and that just all comes down to awareness. And it is easier because when I record, I make the screen smaller so you can record in 1080p. My screen is pretty large, so I have them a split screen. So I have the 15 second, and then I have my entry time frame on the other screen. So it's all like put together quite nicely. So you can keep an eye on both in this case. But then it's just having that awareness to be able to react quick enough, even after you've taken that loss. You still need to be aware. Looking at this bit, sorry, we have this low high, and then we go on to create this new high, and so this gets violated because that's the low that created that high. So we have this violation, so that's a valid disruption. And then we have the break of structure. So then we look for our 2 rules, which we eventually get here. So once we have this high being taken, we've got the SR, and we have obviously we have this IM as well. I took the entry off here, so as soon as this candle happened, as soon as I saw this candle on the next one, that's when I pressed pull the trigger, and I continued. And this one continued. I could just play this out, to be fair, because this one's pretty obvious with my management on this one. Where's it gone? Oh, there it is. So this one came back to break even, no loss again. Obviously my stop loss was slightly above. And then what I was trying to do just now, just at the start of this recording, was I was trying to play this move here. Oh gosh, look at that. Look at that. Anyway, so what I tried to do was, because we have this high low, we have this disruption here, because we go on to create a new high, but price then broke out the structure and continued. But anyway, this is a very stressful morning, I have to admit. So yeah, two break evens and a loss. So -1 for this week so far. Not even that, not even -1, -1 point something. It's I've just taken slightly over 1 hour loss on that one. I'm not sure what happened, because the execution was pretty quick on Vantage, to be fair. So I don't know how that made that slight error. I don't know, but let me get rid of that. I don't know if I spoke too fast, to be fair, on this video. I'm sorry if it was, because I was still trying to take a trade here, and I thought if it happens, it happens. But obviously it didn't, so it continued. But yeah, again, this also shows you obviously the reality of trading. You have your set model, and sometimes it can get messy like this. it's up to you whether you want to trade sessions like this, but obviously you don't know that it's going to be like this until it's finished. But it's all about sticking to the plan and executing when the rules present, because I had no doubt about any of these setups, whether they lost or whether they break even or what. I had no doubt. It's just the fact that you just have to be able to hold yourself, especially in this situation. If you do take a loss and then you see another setup, you need to be able to control yourself whether you are happy to take that risk or not. Because for me, I've only taken one loss and one break even. I'm happy to continue. It wasn't really an issue for me. Obviously now my session is pretty much finished, and that's that move gone. But yeah, I hope this video was insightful, and yeah, I'll speak to you all in the Discord.